Hi, Valerie. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
I am honored to have you back. It's been several years since we spoke to you. And for Women's History Month, I just think there is no better person to wrap it up than Valerie Harper. So I'm really honored to have you on the show.
My pleasure, honey.
Well,
Absolutely.
you have so much going on. The Hallmark Channel is featuring you and Mary Tyler Moore this weekend on April 1st. They're having a Mary Tyler Moore marathon with the two of you, which is leading up to Mary and Rhoda.
That's right. I'm so thrilled about it.
So tell us about this, because I think it's really cool that the two of you are back together.
I know. It's starting at 10 a.m., and it's going to go 10 hours straight, which will be absolutely wonderful. And I'm going to try to watch as much of it as I can. Certainly the movie, because that was such fun to come back and visit those characters after 20 years, and they both had daughters and stuff. And Mary is such a dear. I talked to her. In fact, we were on a show honoring Betty White's 90th birthday.
Yes.
Just in January.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a wonderful time then. It was great to see her. She lives on the East Coast, so I don't see her as often as I'd like to, but we've maintained the friendship, and it's quite deep and profound and fun. It's a real girlfriend.
Yeah, I was going to say, you are, and I think that's a huge statement, that women, as iconic and as famous as the two of you are, who have worked together for all these years. I mean, Mary Tyler Moore was a huge show. Rhoda was a huge show. So the two of you, even in this kind of industry, truly are friends.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I was just absolutely blessed to get into that circle, to get that job, because Mary was a big star. She'd been so wonderful on Dick Van Dyke all those years and taught, American women how to wear trousers or pants,
Yeah.
Some of us shouldn't, but we all do.
Yeah.
Mary paved the way with her slim hips. I mean, she was great. And we were just friends in those years on Mary and on Rhoda. We're really a thrill. And they were I was new to television, and I thought that's how it was everywhere. And the quality of the shows, the writing was so good. Really, really, Christine, very insightful and always funny. And put women in a different kind of role than they'd been. No more, God bless Donna Reed. She did what she could with her pearls and heels, and those kind of full-skirted dresses in the kitchen, but Mary and Rhoda really blazed some new trails that hadn't happened before. Even Marlowe's show, there was her boyfriend and her dad, and this show was really young women completely functioning on their own.
Yeah, I mean, we have to really credit you guys for, through the entire, if it wasn't for your show and your characters, many things would be different, I believe. It was an entire decade that these shows were on, and you guys were trailblazing strong women, really, for the first time on television.
And for that, we have to credit two extraordinary men, and that's James L. Brooks, Jim Brooks, and Alan, oh my God, my darling Alan. Oh, I just blew the name.
No, that's okay.
Alan Burns.
Yes.
Alan Burns, and they created those characters. And Jim knew a Rhoda from the Bronx who worked in a brassiere factory, and they were just superb writers. And then the writers that they got, they also did another thing, Christine, which was bring female writers on, and they hadn't been hired for comedy before that. Very few, maybe one wonderful lady that worked on the Show of Shows, the Imogene Coco and Sid Caesar show. But to be comedy writers weekly, there was Treva Silverman and Charlotte Brown and a plethora of other wonderful women, Linda Bloodworth Thomason, Marilyn. There were writing teams, Pat Nardo and Gloria Banta. There were just a ton of women that got an opportunity to be funny. And Jim used to say, Valerie, I know there's a world of comedy in my wife's purse, but I can't access it. Alan and I don't do that pantyhose and nail polish stuff. We don't do that well. That's why women, it's not that we can't write women, but they brought women in, and that's why we got the bridesmaid's dress show out of that. Because men don't understand what it is to get into a horrible gown for your best friend. One size does not fit all, and we all shapes and sizes would force ourselves into those.
Yeah.
So that was an area that, unless you're a gay man, which these guys weren't, they had husbands and wives. And it's not to say men can't write women and women can't write men. That's a dumb thing to say. But there is a sensibility, and there are areas of comedy that come up if you have women in the writing room.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, what led up to? I kind of want to know your beginnings, your childhood. Did you always want to be an actress? Were you always funny?
I wanted to be a ballerina.
You did?
Oh, yes. I always liked to laugh. And I had a mom and dad who, humor around the house was encouraged. So was obeying them. But I wanted to be a dancer, and my parents were great. We were middle to lower middle class, never wanting for food, but they really struggled to get me my ballet lessons, and Mom sewed 1 million costumes for me to be in recitals. And my first job was Radio City Music Hall as a ballet girl.
Wow.
In those days, they had a corps de ballet as well as the Rockettes, the separate bodies.
Well, that's big. You were then. I mean, you accomplished. I mean, that's
5 shows a day for $66 a week. I don't know how big it was.
Oh, wow.
But of course, this was 1957.
Oh my gosh.
I'm talking way back, darling.
No, I love it.
And then I danced on Broadway, and then started taking acting classes because I met some actors, and I heard laughter. In Little Abner, I thought, oh my God, these people are laughing. Maybe this would be fun. And I think that was the beginnings of my changing my major from dance to acting.
Did you just fall in love with it? The actors, the whole process?
Theater. I fell in love with theater. I did, and that's where I'd worked all those times. And by the time I was almost 30, I was, and the right age and the right time, I had been in the theater almost exclusively. I had done no television. So I would tell actors that work on the stage, you learn how to act on the stage, and then your career, can really, and not to say some people don't come up completely as movie stars or, on television, but I think it's a real godsend to have theater experience.
I feel like if you can do theater, you can pretty much do anything.
And crucial that you learn how to act. That's the thing. But Mary and I had such fun reuniting for the movie, and we did it in New York, and it was just fantastic. And we hadn't worked together since the Mary and Rhoda. We saw each other over the years a lot socially and as friends. But
So since the late 70s, you guys haven't worked together?
No, that's correct. Until the movie. But it was
this weekend, we get to see the two of you reunite as Mary and Rhoda. So this is so exciting.
The characters hadn't been back together, and Mary and I hadn't done other things together either. We just, we're constantly in contact, and it wasn't like I didn't see her in 20 years. That wasn't it.
Right.
And it was like getting on a bicycle again. You can just do it. You don't forget it.
Right. That's got to be great. So what the two of you are going to do is your characters, but really the two of you are coming back together after you find yourselves kind of alone and your husbands have passed and you're back in New York City.
Right. Hers passed. Mine was a divorce.
Oh, you got divorced. Well, that's very Rhoda.
Isn't it? I should I'm getting out of here. And my doctor, I raised a girl who is in medical school, and her daughter is down at the a club in the East Village.
Oh.
Nose rings and things, I think.
Oh, boy.
Or being crazy. Not nose rings, exactly. But real, more like Rhoda than Mary. And
right.
My daughter is more like Mary than me. So it's
that's funny.
It's a cute thing. It really is good. And Mary and I have been together sad occasions at funerals and things. I've tried to be at her side. She's been through a lot, and her book when her books were published and stuff, and benefits. She did a lot for juvenile diabetes, and she would come out here to do an event, and we'd meet with her. She's got a good girlfriend, Bernadette Peters, with whom she's very close. So it got to be kind of this little social thing, and I'm going to be in New York, and when I go in, I try to see her. Oh, she came to see me in my play when I did Tallulah Bankhead on Broadway, 2010, and I'm writing a book now for Simon and Schuster. Finally doing a memoir.
Oh,
Christine,
great!
You'll be happy to know, because I didn't feel like I should, but I'm thinking now I better.
Why?
Before I start forgetting. Well, I didn't feel old enough. They ask you to do a memoir,
and it's like it's the end. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So now I think I really. The problem is I've got 7 decades to deal with now.
You've got a lot. I mean, you're not old by any means. 72.
Sure. No, I'm not old as a destination, but I'm definitely older, dear. And honestly, that was, by the way, that's for your listeners. That's what Ruth Gordon, that wonderful old actress, do you remember her from Harold and Maude?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, I asked Ruth what she played Carlton's, the doorman's mother on a Rhoda.
Right.
And then I did another movie with her where she played my mom, a thriller with Dennis Weaver. And I said, what's your secret? My God, Ruth, look at you. She said, well, at a very young age, there's a decision to be made. You can decide whether you're going to get old or simply older. Old is a destination. Older is a process.
I like that.
Isn't that great? So
we got to write. That's
90. Look at Betty White. You can be 90 and not be old. You're certainly older, but you don't need to have stopped. And some people get old at 45 and shouldn't.
You're right. I mean, I have friends I'm 42, and I have friends that act older than my parents. And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Exactly.
Honestly.
Yeah. And it's not about being crazy
No.
and jumping or wearing things that are age inappropriate. It is about aliveness. It's about being alive, present to the moment, and enjoying your life, and crying if you have to, and laugh when you can. Cry. My sister says that: laugh when you can, cry when you must, but keep it moving.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I love to cry. I think it's okay. I mean,
it is. It's an expression. It's an accurate expression. It's just like laughter. We just put a negative aspect on it.
That's right. It's very healthy.
Yeah.
Now you're no schlub to being a humanitarian either. You've done a lot over the years to help a lot of people. And Hunger for Justice, is that kind of what's Hunger Project?
Hunger Project that was instigated initiated is a better word.
Yeah.
In 1977. Yeah, and I still work with them and other wonderful organizations. There's Results, which is it's a great citizen lobby, completely volunteer. So when you hear the word lobby, don't think of alligator shoes or rich people getting deals for oil companies. This is hunger and poverty globally. And there's a microcredit summit, which is a wonderful, mostly women, by the way. Women are the linchpin. If we can confront and transform the subjugation, marginalization, and disempowerment of women, hunger will end.
Right.
Because resources in the hands of women, the kids eat. I'm not saying that dads don't care, but they don't put the child first, like women do. So that in all these countries that we have terrible hunger, just look at the status of women, and it's in the basement.
Right. No, you're right.
So, and that's what needs to happen. And the African woman food farmer needs resources. And what I'm talking about is just, hoes for doing, for hoeing the garden with a long handle. It was traditional to use a short-handled hoe because you were lazy if you weren't bending over. Those kinds of crazy. There's a lot of things that keep women
down,
bound and shackled. So, but not the least of which is clothing. And I see the return of these shoes as sort of an anti-feminist thing.
Yeah, I'm a flat girl.
If the girls want to wear it,
Yeah.
and you know, and endanger their ankles for life, then let them do it. But it's funny. Yeah, it's be it ever thus. You know, women. But the empowerment is very important.
Yes,
and that will end hunger and go a long way to end poverty, because food is the very basic thing. That's absolutely first. And I'm doing lots of things. They come up, people ask me, and I kind of have stayed with poverty and women's issues.
Right.
And now there's this real backlash that we're talking about contraception is absurd.
Oh, can you believe it?
Oh, it's absurd. It's
I know.
Absurd, because are these the people that don't believe in access to abortion? Then you would think they would run and embrace contraception.
Right.
But it isn't about that. It's woman as what is it? A bell jar, you know, as some sort of a crucible in which to grow babies. It's all about women's being not empowered.
Right.
That's really the basis of it. It's not about saving kids, because if they were for that, they love the fetus and hate the child, as Randy Rhoads says.
Right. There was for Women's History Month. We had some people on it was a Women's World event, and somebody who
Oh
deals with domestic violence, and she has opened up safe shelters in Egypt and Africa was here. She's incredible. She was here in California, and you know what she said to us? She said, "I am so sorry you're still dealing with this." She can't believe this is a woman who lives in Egypt. Yeah. Says to us, sisters, I cannot believe that in America you're dealing with this. That says a lot.
It does, and we have to deal with it, and it means more women waking up and understanding what needs to be done, which is that we don't let this stuff go by, and we don't let it stand. It is absolutely impossible to have this go on, certainly for my daughters and for, you know, all of you younger girls and women.
Rush Limbaugh is just such a piece.
Oh, please. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's beyond that he has so much time is disgusting. Maybe he will have less and less, and that mindset does not appeal to the best in us. It appeals to the fear, to the base thing, and the misinformation that goes out, the abject lying that goes on faux news, I think, or Fox Noise. It's an arm of the Republican Party, and I'm not talking politically now. I'm just saying that's what it is. It is not.
Oh, it just is. Yeah.
All. It's spin and propaganda. So, you know, you say, God help us, but women need to continue to stand up, and we must do it in America. I've always said. I heard fabulous Hillary Clinton say that the other night when introduced by the fabulous Meryl Streep, say if we don't confront these things, women around the world who eat least and last. That's really true. And the girl children don't get fed like the boys. And, I mean, in all kinds of societies that are so repressive. We must, you know, accomplish this here. And we will. And the fact that we're a free society, these ideas can come up, but then we have to smash them like a bug.
Right. It's exactly right. And
not that I smash bugs. I carry them outside.
Yeah.
But when I said bug, I was thinking of Rush Limbaugh.
I was just going to be saying the first bug we're going to squash is that little pudgy face thing.
Oh my God.
He's awful. He's just a terrible, and it's not even necessarily his message. It's just that it's, like you said, it's even terrible to have those kind of thoughts, to have those, that kind of like evil or just.
Evil. It is. And they're cunning and determined, and it's about money, and it's about not putting out the truth, and it's about smearing, and oh my God, the whole Trayvon Martin thing, it's just brought things to a head, and you say, why are we dealing with this? But we do have to deal with it. It's constant vigilance against the pigs of the world. It really is.
No, you're right.
Those who would subjugate others, those who would try to diminish human beings, be they female or otherwise. So, you know, we'll get through it, and I'm glad you're on the air. I love that a young woman is out there talking regularly.
Well, you're right. We have to talk about it because it's the only way that it can be fixed.
Only way we're going to move it. Exactly.
And it's because of people like you who have been strong supporters of women's rights for so long that we can deal with these things because we unfortunately have the history to
exactly
to know.
The Rape Foundation. It used to be the Rape Treatment Center of Santa Monica. They're still here. Lovely lady Gail Barbanel many decades ago started it and has done so much in terms of training police, evidence collection, taking care of the women appropriately, teaching the staff in when a rape victim is brought in how to approach her because she's had all power taken away.
Oh yeah.
And so the emotional scars are worse, and then all of the and then the wonderful therapy where the rapist doesn't get to live. Excuse me, the rapist they do live. The rapist doesn't get to win.
That's right.
They don't get your life, so that then it's